but we'll circle back with you on this today. I can follow up with our team. I don't have anything to preview for you today. A range of our, sorry, let me start again here. Did you have another question?
Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. That was White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. She was asked about Hunter Biden's paintings posing ethical issues for the White House in today's Psaki Dodge.
I know this is your favorite topic, but it still is the purview of the gallerist. We still do not know and will not know who purchases any paintings, and the president remains proud of his son.
White House.
Did you have another question on something else? Otherwise, we're going to move on to some other topics. Lots going on in the world.
Yes.
Well, I do not want to talk about it very clearly. By the way, being proud of your son and him causing ethical issues for the White House are not connected in any way, shape, or form. Let's talk more about Hunter Biden and a special anniversary today with our Powerhouse panel. We want to start with our in-studio guest, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York and New York Post columnist, as well as a Newsmax contributor. Betsy McCoy is here. Best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin is here, and National Advisory Board member for Project 21, Christopher Arps, joining us as well. I want to throw a Jen Psaki tweet up on the screen. This tweet debuted almost a year ago. Quote, Hunter Biden story is Russian disinfo. My, oh my, where have I heard that before? Enter stage left, the Steele dossier. Dozens of former intel officials say that. Name one, Jen Psaki. That was from October 2020, just prior to the 2020 election, which happened on November 3rd. Betsy, you've written for the New York Post for almost 10 years. Today marks 1 year since they broke the story about Hunter Biden's laptop, and that story has been confirmed. Here's the headline from this morning. Do you think if the American people, the majority of the American people, knew about this story before the election a year ago, is Joe Biden president today?
Unlikely that Joe Biden would be president today. And the fact is, when the White House and Jen Psaki said Russian disinformation, the real crime is that all the mainstream media bought that phony answer instead of actually looking at the evidence. And there was copious evidence that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's brothers as well had received huge payments from foreign governments and foreign nationals. And on that laptop, which was abandoned at a Delaware repair shop, lots of evidence that Hunter Biden and his father, then candidate Joe Biden, had talked about the deals and that Joe Biden had even met with some of the deal makers. And yet Biden said on the campaign trail repeatedly, I never have discussed these deals with my son. A bald-faced lie.
It feels like it was so long ago. By the way, I've interviewed the owner of that. It's called the Mac Shop, and it's in Delaware. John Paul Mac Isaac took possession of that laptop when Hunter Biden walked in that day, and he just wants his life back. This guy's life's been flipped upside down since that day back in 2019. Mark, I know that you're aware of some of the left-leaning newspapers and sites like Politico that are now reporting on this story as a fact. And fine, that's great. But where were you a year ago when the story broke? No one wanted to touch this story.
Systematic failure, professional failure by the press in basically just saying we don't want Donald Trump to win re-election, so we're going to do what we can to protect Joe Biden. There's no standard of journalism that I've ever heard of that made that not a story at the time. People disregarded the facts. They believed any spin that came out of the Democrats, and it extended, as we talked about earlier in the program, to Twitter and social media in a way that really undermines confidence in our system and causes a lot of people on the right to wonder whether it's possible to get a fair hearing. Doesn't mean Donald Trump didn't do things that were wrong, too. It just means the playing field was not level.
Well, you see, so I'm with you right up until the end there, Chris, and I'm curious if you agree with Mark, because the segment that we're going to eventually have here on Wake Up is, what if Trump were president? If the shoe was on the other foot and this was Barron or Eric or Don Jr., the media would be covering this story with enthusiasm and vigor. So in this situation, Mark, you said Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump.
But here's why I say it. Because there are people on the left in the media who say, well, Trump did so many bad things. Why should we cover the bad things Biden did? And that is their excuse. My point is, there are plenty of things to cover that Donald Trump did, but that doesn't give the press license to ignore things, serious things regarding the Biden family.
Chris, what do you make of that?
I mean, what made this story even more egregious to me is you had a retired naval officer corroborate everything that was going on. He had emails, he has text, he has his memory, and all of that was just discounted. That's the most egregious part of it, almost as bad as the New York Post hiding the story.
You know, it's interesting, too, and I want to pivot to what's happening right now with our nation's ports. But if Joe Biden had a 60% approval rating, this story might not be as significant as it is 9 months later. But Joe Biden's approval rating last week, according to Quinnipiac, 38%. We are in historic territory right now with how bad things continue to get in Joe Biden's America. If you look at the major ports in our country right now, Savannah, Long Beach, which is just south of Los Angeles, New York, New Jersey, Boston, even in the Midwest, in cities like Chicago that rely on the St. Lawrence Seaway, hundreds of ships are now anchored at sea outside the ports. And we've got Mayor Pete Buttigieg, South Bend, Indiana. And the left thought this was, no, he can learn on the job. Let me show you a headline from right before he was confirmed as Secretary of Transportation. This, of course, is CNN. Mayor Pete had a fleet of 47 buses. Now he's got a budget of $87 billion. Mayor Pete was grossly unprepared for this job, Mark, and now here he is. He's got to manage a cataclysmic crisis falling at the worst time of year with the holidays right around the corner.
This isn't a joke. This isn't PR or spin or on-the-job training. This is what the federal government's there for, to solve problems that the private sector needs help on. So I hope the entire administration, from the president on down, are really trying to solve this. Everything's political, but this is a crisis for America, for the economy, not just about Christmas presents. It's about the very survival of our economy, and it's about dealing with inflation. So I hope they've got some great ideas at the White House today to deal with it.
Betsy, just final thought, 10 seconds. What do the American people need to hear today?
This problem has been brewing for 10 months, and they have done nothing. They're going to announce today 24/7 operation of the Port of Los Angeles. Why didn't they do that months ago? They should be calling in the National Guard, but Joe Biden is kowtowing to the unions instead of solving the problem.
Yeah, good stuff. Betsy McCoy, good having you in studio. Come back and see us. Chris, great having you on as always. Mark, we'll see you on Friday. Thanks so much, guys.